This is conversation number 18. It is a newer conversation, a life-changing, transformational conversation. We're calling this the In Search of the Behind the Chair Millionaire. That is hairdressers that really are, they got their act together. They're not only blowing up their income, but they're really managing that part of our life called the personal side of our money life, called saving money and paying debt and managing our affairs and spending less than we make, so that over time we've got something extraordinary to show for our passion and our hard work. I want to introduce you to Autumn Borroz. I'm gonna make sure. I didn't have a chance to ask her if I pronounced that right, but I'll ask her, and I think I'm close. I've heard her fearless leader Luke refer to her. She is 32 years old. This year is a big year for her. Going to double her income, as you're going to see in a second. That she's going to be well into six figures. So this is a pivotal year for her. She's trending 120 million, give or take. If I talk to Luke, who is the salon owner from Anastasia, Portland, Oregon, Luke contends it's closer to 130, but don't tell that to Autumn because it'll make her nervous. So I think she's on a trajectory to get her to a seven-figure net worth, to be a millionaire, and a qualitative millionaire, probably by 40, maybe on the other side of 40, 41, 42, really doesn't matter. She's going to be there in plenty of time while she's this side of the first half of her career, and certainly going to be in a place that most people aren't at in their 60 or 70 something. So trust me when I tell you, she's got things to talk about. She's going to tell you her story. So I don't want to take anything away from that, but she, in a nutshell, graduates from high school in 13, starts at Anastasia, graduates from hair school in 13, starts at Anastasia, same year as an associate, started training associates in 2019, and became a shareholder this year. So these are big years. She has a family. I saw her youngest daughter, and before the show, so she's got a full life. But she's a shareholder at Anastasia, and Luke Hofstetter is very, very proud of her. If he was on, he would say that she is a prodigy. So what else does she got? This is why I invited her here tonight. This is what earns her the right, you guys. So in 2019, her W-2 income is in or around $77,000. 2020, I think on the West Coast, they took some big hits. So they were shut down for several months, but she held her own. But look at this. From $56,000 in 2020, she is trending 120, and her fearless leader says she's at 130. It's paid down debt, and she has accumulated by now the combination of her 401 and her savings in or around $85,000. So she is in the game. But no, wait, there's more. Look at the average month. She is trending at about $17,000 a month. She is a level 8A. So Anastasia is, a 1%er. So they went beyond, 4A, 4AA. They're into, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8A. So they continue to push the envelope, and she is like one of the poster childs to show us all what's possible when you walk the talk. Average week is, if you do the math, about 4,500 a week. Average day, 1,500, so she's well into four figures. Average ticket, $250. So what she was telling me, into a lot of color work, and as a lot of us are moving into hair extensions. Referrals, if you do the head count, well into triple-digit referrals. So, 100-plus referral trending this year. Look at those rebooks, 90%. I love that number because Anastasia uses online booking, so anytime a guest would book themselves, whether it's in real time in the salon or after the fact, all guests that use online booking, it now counts in some salons, not all, and certainly in Anastasia, as part of the pre-book KPI for a level jump. I love that. That's pushing the envelope. That's creative. And then her retail is running at $15 per client. So all the right stuff. I would highly, highly recommend you follow her on Instagram. I do. It is at Autumn Borroz and or Borez. We'll get that clarified. And she's I absolutely love how she's using her highlight library. The hair on her grids is stunning. It's amazing, and she's got a lot of video content on her Instagram channels as well. So she is in my green room. I'm going to go and get her talking about her story, and then we'll see if we can get her to share a little bit of her secret sauce.
Hi everyone.
Hi Autumn, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you, Michael?
Oh, I'm very, very well. Thanks. I forgot to ask you, did you work today or was this a day off?
This is a day off.
But you had your daughter on your lap when I zoomed you in, so it looked like you had a lot cooking.
Yes. Day off means at home with the kids.
And your sister-in-law's with the kids, and they're in the playroom, and you're here with us. So thank you very much for taking time out of your life to share some of your experience with us. I appreciate that.
Yep. So happy to be here.
Well, let's get started. We always love to start with the story because the story allows us to get to know you as a person first and how you on-ramped to being a hairdresser and now, married a life and building a real nice life for yourself and your family. So for starters, who are you and how did somebody like you get to the place that they're at in the salon?
Yeah, so I actually I wasn't someone in high school that was like, I'm doing hair. I was never presented that as an option. I was really pressed to go to university and go to college in that way. And so I actually went and studied and did an undergrad and I studied apparel design. And after I was done with that, I moved to Portland from 2 hours away going to university, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I got a job as a waitress. I didn't want to work as a low-level Nike employee, and I felt pretty lost, like a lot of people do after college, I think. And I kind of ran across the opportunity to go into a hair school to be a model for some services, free services. And I watched the girls on the hair floor get ready for their day as I waited in the waiting room, and everything clicked for me. And I said, oh, cool, I'm gonna go do that. And I enrolled in cosmetology school probably a couple weeks later and started a few months later. And I have never looked back since. Right after I graduated, I started at Anastasia Salon and I've been there since.
Wow, so I wanna get this right. So when you graduate from high school, your trajectory is going to post-secondary to college. Now, did you say how much college did you finish with a degree, and you're looking for something to do life after the degree when you had the experience in cosmetology school?
Yep.
Oh wow! So you decide to pivot to go to cosmetology school. How old were you? What age were you at when you made that pivot?
Oh, 22. Yeah, 22.
So this is right after a 4-year ride in a college. Well, I'm curious, what did your family make of that?
I think when I presented it, everybody felt like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Even though I hadn't thought of it ever in the past, I was the person that was cutting and coloring my friend's hair in high school. Everyone would line up at my door in the dorms or in the sorority where I lived to get their hair done so they could go to parties. I just was a person that was really into that, and I just did it for fun, and I had never imagined that it would be a career.
Wow, I didn't have that part of your story. So you were destined to be a hairdresser, but you didn't kind of intuit that, and all of a sudden you're going to college and you're kind of, well, okay. It's almost like with a 4-year degree, I'm still out there kind of lost. I go into beauty school to do something, and all of a sudden I awaken to, gee, I was doing this when I was in high school, this is my calling, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and when I studied apparel design, I loved that. I loved working with fabric and shape and design. And even at the time, I didn't realize how those two things would relate. And so when I went into cosmetology school and I was really starting to get into it, there were so many things that were so natural for me already. It was just a totally different medium. So it was still, working with the color wheel and working with theory and understanding spatial awareness around the body and the face and the head. And that was something that felt so comfortable for me. It was just working with all of those things in a totally different
Oh,
way.
wow, this is even more interesting. So that was education that you kind of tapped into in your 4 year experience in college. And so all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's like you find, and I've heard other hairdressers say something similar, that now, my media, my, my screen is hair. I'm now painting, I'm doing something with hair rather than whatever my discipline was before.
Yeah,
Oh, I
exactly.
love it. So now you're at Anastasia. And what year did that start for you?
So that was in 2013. I started right after I graduated from cosmetology school, and I was an associate, and that was an amazing experience. I definitely went into that experience thinking, well, I was coming out of school thinking, oh, I worked so hard. I have this great education from a school that I enjoyed going to. I didn't think that I was going to do, an apprenticeship or an associateship, but I fell in love with the salon. And in that moment, I thought, well, I just have to do what I have to do, right? I want a job at this salon, so I'll be an associate. And then I got into that program and I was blown away and was like, oh, there's so many things that I don't know yet, and got from those 7 months with my trainer, valuable things that I use in my business all the time.
Wow. And so now this is now bringing us into probably 2014. You're put on the floor, and the rest is history. Fast forward, what is this? 6, 7 years later, a level
Yeah.
8A. I don't think I've heard of that level before. So you guys continue to blow the sides off the limitation box. It sounds like that's been a great ride. It's been a great ride for you.
It really has. I've had so much enjoyment being part of this type of team. And part of that comes from, the growth and the celebration, but also for me, at one point I decided that I really wanted to have kids, and I ended up having 3 kids. So I've had 3 pregnancies and 3 maternity leaves during that time. And there's something really special about an environment where people hold you up, where people will do a shampoo for you because your belly's so big and you're so tired,
Yeah.
or taking your guest and caring for them like they're your own, and then giving them back like, hey, this person is yours. I'm trying to get them back on your books because I want you to come back to a full book.
Wow. Wow, wow,
It's a
wow.
special place.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Anastasia is really if you Googled world class culture, right? You'd get a link to Anastasia, because
Yes, you would.
and the culture to me is really the collective consciousness and attitude and humanity of each individual in the culture. And so you're saying, oh yeah, when I was walking, I walked through three children, and with all that comes with that, the sabbaticals, the returns, and you're saying you didn't miss a beat, that you had that support.
Yes, exactly.
So, and then you just became a shareholder this year. Actually, Luke was the guy that was blowing in my ear about you, and he sigged me on you, and that's why you and I hooked up.
Yes.
What now? I'm just remembering this. Pronounce your last name for me, because I hate it when I get that wrong.
You had it right the first time. It's Borroz.
Borroz. Okay, good, good. And so, so now you're a shareholder, part of the leadership shareholder team, and that's been a heck of a ride. What's it like? I'm curious. How's this changed you? I mean, there's been a lot of evolution in the last 7 years compared to where you were. Your life, your standard of living today, your lifestyle, what it's done to you as a person, as a mom, a parent, a hairdresser. In a nutshell, catch us up to that part.
I think the best part and what's evolved so much is just flexibility in my life to have all the things that I want. I really want to be a super hands-on and involved parent, and so does my partner. And so having a really full book where I can work 3 days a week and make the money of someone who works 5 or 6 days a week is really special. And it's also allowed my partner to move into a part-time position so that he can also spend as much time at home with our kids. And that's just something that's really important to us. And evolving into that has been something that I focused on with my business building, and the way I treat my clients and the way I treat my business in the last 6 years.
Wow. So now it's you're on a roll now, and what comes up to me is like, what's next? What do you have cooking this year and after this year that you think will help you to take you to the next level?
Wow, that's such a hard question. Mostly, I just want to find consistency. There's a lot of sacrifice with what we do because we are so committed to our time behind the chair and growing a full book that doesn't have any white space. But then the reality is, when that white space is gone, you still have to work on your business. You still have to, you know, create that time and that sacrifice. And so I think for me moving forward, it's really finding the balance between the sacrifices I make and the time that I spend on my business as well as in it, in a very complementary way to the rest of my life, so that I feel like one is not taking more of my time, that I can really find like a happy balance between it all.
Yeah, as you were chatting, by the way, to the viewers, I don't know if Autumn can see me. I was having some camera problems, so she's at a little bit of disadvantage. I'm holding your Instagram page up now next to your face, and I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably you can see it on, something that you're looking at. But you've really done an extraordinary job at crafting and engineering your Instagram platform. It looks like it's your website. I mean, the first of all, the hair on the grids is off the chart. That's $250, $300 ticket hair. I see, just extraordinary hair color. I see what looks like extension work.
Yes.
And as I like flip over to you've got some really cool content on IGTV as well, and that so you really talk just a little bit about how much time you've put into building your brand using the Instagram platform.
Yeah, so I definitely try to work smarter and not harder on Instagram. I try not to do a lot of scrolling or mindless activity on there. I really focus that time and energy into posting things that people want to look at. And I also try to detach myself from likes and comments and really understand that, yes, Instagram is those things, but it's also your website. It's a place where anyone can go and look at a history of your work and be inspired at what you might be able to do for them. But I also really love Instagram for connecting with my clients. So I'm always presenting that page as a way for them to access me. I do so much prep work with clients on there so that I can get the most of their time in the chair. So a lot of virtual consultations happen for me on Instagram, in DMs, and that's a huge part of building the most from my business and finding that balance.
Yeah, you actually beat me to the punch. I really love that. So, and I loved how you characterized it. That Instagram has become kind of my own hybrid website. So people come to my Instagram platform to find out more about me, and all questions that they might have are answered there. And then you're saying that now digital consultation, virtual, whatever we want to call that pre-visit, is happening there. That Instagram has become the touch point before the visit. And it sounds like you're basically taking advantage of a very simple feature on Instagram called direct message, that between
Yes.
you and a future client, you send each other back and forth content.
Yep.
And do they, just a little bit about that, Autumn. So would, if there was a searcher that was on your page and saw an interesting piece of work, would they take a screen grab of that, and send that to you on direct message, and maybe even a picture of themselves, and all of a sudden now you're using the texting feature on Instagram direct message to communicate to each other, and it really is a digital consultation.
Yes, absolutely. So I do it both ways. So I do have people that reach out to me that maybe don't have an appointment yet, that haven't just gone out of their way to book it. So they'll connect with me on Instagram, and then we can just start a conversation rolling about their hair and what they're looking for, and if my schedule and price works for them. And then I can help them book an appointment, or I can send them to our front desk or our website for that. And then the other way I use it is I connect with all new guests that are on my books that I don't know who they are. So if I see someone's new appointment, I'll reach out to them. And oftentimes I do that, and I'll call them and then I'll say, okay, great. It sounds like we need to exchange some pictures. So do you use Instagram? Is that a good way for us to connect, where we can send pictures and words back and forth with each other? And that's worked really well for me for connecting with my clients before they sit in my chair.
Yeah, yeah, your clientele, that would be a very comfortable way of doing it. And then as you were chatting, I hit in your bio, I hit the link that you have, and it not only takes me to the website, but your landing page on the website, so I don't have
Yes.
to crawl the website to find you. Like, I'm right there. And what's really cool is it's got your Instagram hashtag link, your pricing, your bio, and the book now button. So I can actually use the salon's online booking feature on your page here to book with you online in real time. I'm curious as to how many first-time clients might take advantage of using booking with you online.
A lot of people do. So that's what I was saying, where I'll go into, I keep, really close eyes on my books. And when I see new guests and I reach out to them, they often have found me on Instagram, or they've at least gone that route, right? Like they maybe looked at the website and thought, oh, I kind of like her bio, or I saw some of her photos linked on there. So then they'll go to my Instagram, and then they kind of toggle back and forth and end up booking through the website. So it's just a really easy way to kind of connect everything, so that people know where you are, what salon you work at, how they can talk to you or communicate with you, what your work looks like.
Oh, I love it. So I'm kind of imagining that there's times where you're doing a digital consultation on the back end of it. You come into an agreement that the client's going to book an appointment, and it's great. Go ahead and click that link, hit the book now button, and
Yes.
and let's get it handled right now. So this is all new territory, and there's still probably 9 out of 10 salons easy that aren't utilizing the booking now the online booking feature that's available
Yeah.
to them. One other question I want to ask you about that: when clients book online, I'm hearing, as I'm kind of learning about this, that oftentimes the artificial intelligence inside of the book now feature might even show 2 or 3 other services, add-on services that would complement what they do and make that offering. I see you kind of nod in your head. Do you have that feature? And if so, how many of your clients take advantage of that?
I would say a good number. And sometimes those add-ons confuse them. And I will see things that are kind of overbooked. And so, but again, like that's something you're going to hit in a consultation when you communicate beforehand. And so you can say, like, oh, I noticed you added this thing. Let's talk more about that. Or, that's part of this service. So we don't have to worry about that. But if you're looking for an additional, treatment, then you can get a quick conversation around why those things make sense. Yes, ours does that. And it is a really helpful tool for them. And sometimes they get confused. But again, that's, having access to you through DM. Someone could reach out to me and say, I don't understand the difference between these dimensions. what one do you think I need? And then that's the perfect opportunity for you to say, great, let's talk about your hair and what your long-term goals are, to really create the best experience for them.
Yeah, it sounds like as we're all discovering the potentiality of online booking, it really it's bringing a very positive and powerful, whatever you want to call it, dimension, touch point before, and allowing a hairdresser to take a guest farther, better, but also faster, because there's that momentum. And because when people do use your online booking feature, we always ask for a credit card on file. So all of a sudden, the risk of no-show is really kind of off the radar, isn't it?
It is. And I also believe, even outside of that, that talking to someone ahead of time gives you that personal connection with them. It makes them feel cared for. And oftentimes it's something they've never experienced before that elevates that experience with you, that they won't no show you because they've already committed.
Right.
They've already spoke with you. They already know what the plan is. I very rarely experience no shows. And when I do, they are very one off. It is never new guests. It's always just, accidents, confusion, whatever. People who are like, please don't be mad at me. It's never new guests because they've connected and they're ready to get their hair done.
Yeah, yeah. As you were talking, it really gives the hairdresser an opportunity to, let's call it, the guest is sold not only on the appointment, but on the person that's serving them. So the last thing I want to do is no show, because I would be ripping myself off. So this online stuff is very, very big. Now, I'd love to pivot with you and talk about this other part where you're well, you've been in high five-figure income territory. Now you're in six-figure territory. You're managing that part of your life. We'll call it the personal side of your money life, in a way where you're able to build a rhythm of saving some money long term. You've got a nice base built up for yourself. When did that happen in the 401k? Because it sounds like you're well into that now.
Yeah, I would say that serious savings, both with the 401k and like a personal savings account, really started to take off about 3 years ago. My income was starting to rise. And I think something that I've really thought about, that I was like, I have to share this today, because I think it's so important that when you get a raise, you have to pretend you didn't get the raise. And that's what I really focused on in the last 3 or 4 years. As my commission price went up and my prices of my services have gone up, I try to still live in a space of that not happening, and then rolling as much of that income, that new income, into savings, and that's balance that I try to make, with my family unit. And but it's really important to us, to my partner and I, that we pad that. And so that's how we've worked so much. We talk about things, we communicate, we keep spreadsheets. He's the master of the spreadsheet. And that is our way to make sure that we're kind of living below where we can live, so that we have the money to do some other things in the future.
Yeah, I loved what you just said. I had no idea you were going to say that. That's the golden nugget, that if I was listening correctly, as I began to jump in levels and my prices went up and my commissions went up, there's a difference in what I'm earning per hour, per day. But I'm going to, and I'm paraphrasing you now, I'm going to pretend that I'm going to live on what I've been earning, and that difference of money, I want to earmark that, put that away to begin. I call it the most important investment we can make in ourselves, is when we invest in our financial future. So, and you said you just started this 3 years ago, and you've been at Anastasia for 7, going on 8. So that was a big pivot for you, and 4 years in, you're just this side of a six-figure, we'll call it total savings and investment part of your life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's extraordinary. It's almost like if I don't see it, I don't miss it,
You don't.
right?
With every raise, I would be raising the percentage of money that pulled from my paycheck and went into my 401k savings so that my paycheck still looked exactly the same as it did before my raise. Um, because you don't notice that it's gone if it never existed. And then next thing you know, you have all this money in your savings a lot faster than you could have if that money was sitting in your checking account, because it gets lost in the day to day so much easier. It's so easy to buy 17 things at
Right.
Target that you don't need. But if that money doesn't exist, then it's gone. It's
Yeah.
already saved away.
Yeah, no, I really liked it, how you put that it when I don't see it, I don't miss it. I was curious though, I've talked to many, many people, and I've been a practitioner of this for many years in my own life. You get, like you said, 3, 4 years ago, I make the pivot, and I begin to do this, and you kind of stay close to things. But all of a sudden, one day, you kind of look at your accounts, and you notice, okay, it's been a while since I looked, but this time when you look, you see a whole lot more in there than you saw the last time, and it's at first it's a little bit confusing because you go, wait a minute, I've been kind of feeding it what I've been feeding it. So all of a sudden it dawns on us that there's a lot more money in there that has been money that's growing on the money, and all that. To me, that's a big moment where you go, so that's what people were trying to tell me. Did you have that experience?
Definitely. And so much of that comes from my partner, Adam, because he is so smart with our spreadsheet and he is so deep into the budget. And he helps me stay on track too. Like, you have to have that
Yeah.
relationship with someone if you share finances. And that's something that we really try to celebrate together. So, he'll say, oh, I put this much money in our savings this month, or I put this much more than we usually put in. And we take those moments and really celebrate them because it is an accomplishment. It feels like a big goal that we reach, even when we're reaching it like over and over and over again. Because then when you look at that total sum, you're like, holy cow, we're doing it. Like, we don't even have anything to spend this money on. And that's the best feeling in the world because it's just going to sit
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yes, and grow, right? And
Grow. Yes.
remember doing a little. I use that goose that laid the golden egg calculator, and we just played with some numbers. And I said, "Whoa, if you stay on the pattern that you're on, somewhere in the next 10 years, give or take, you're going to cross over." From first of all, we are a few months away from crossing over to a six-figure saving and investment, and probably a decade away from it being into seven-figure. When I told you that, what kind of experience was that for you? Were you surprised by that? Were you, or like, talk a little bit about that part of your life?
I definitely was surprised. I think you probably felt that from me, because you're kind of just keeping your head down, right? And when you continue to live like there's not a lot of extra, like you're just doing your regular, normal things, you're not rewarding growing your income by spending your income, you you don't pay attention to it. And some of that's the beauty, right? If you turn a blind eye to how much is in the savings, how much is that you're not touching, when you look at it again and you think about what it could continue to become, it's shocking because it goes the other way. Like, if you spend it all and it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
not thinking about it, but you're not thinking about it either
right,
direction. So I'd rather not think about
right.
it and let it grow
Yeah.
than not think about it because I accidentally spent it
Oh
all.
yeah, and I mean I was kind of doing some math in my head while you were chatting. You're 32. You enter the business in or around 22, 23. So you got about you've got the first decade of your career in. It's about a 4 decade career. So by the end of your second decade, you're going to be financially independent, if you will. That you're going to just have options open to you. Whether you take them or not is secondary to. I've got viable options in late 30 something, early 40 something that, frankly, the overwhelming majority of hairdressers, they never, ever have that option. So we're talking 60 something, sometimes it's 70 something, and they'll say things like, well, I see myself doing hair until I die because I love it so much. It's like, well, okay, that's true, but the whole truth is you really can't afford to not do hair because unlike Autumn, you weren't on that trajectory, so you don't have the options. You're going to have it inside of the first half of your career so that the second half you've got wiggle room. What's that feel like as you kind of look out and see that as not only a possibility but a probability?
Oh, it feels good. I want to be able to find balance in this world. And I think, we wake up every day and know that everything could change. And so knowing that you set yourself up for those types of successes, it feels good. And it's the reason why I wanted to become a trainer and worked towards that as part of my career, because I want to share with people the kind of behind the scenes things that people don't know about being a hairstylist, which is it can be a real career where you buy a beautiful house or a wonderful car or take tons of travel time, like whatever your heart desires, you can have that from this industry. And not everybody knows that.
Right, right. And as I was looking, yes, you're doing all of this inside of a 32-hour work week, I think.
Yes.
So it really is an extraordinary career if you craft it in the way that this conversation is paired up to it. It can be or not, and many people it really isn't this for them. While they're hairdressers, it really is. I call it a job rather than a career, a profession. And in job, I'm always job, just over broke. Somebody said, the Lisa Musgrove said, such an addiction to save. Why give it all to Target when you can give it to your retired self well before you're retired?
Yes, I completely agree with that. And Adam and I dream of what do we want our retirement to look like? We talk about that now because we love living in the moment with our kids, but someday they're going to grow up and it's just going to be the two of us. And what do we want that life to look like? Where do we want to go? And what do we want our day to day to be? And honestly, we put money away because we know what kind of life we want in the future when we don't have our careers anymore, or when we step away from our careers. And so we do a lot now to work towards that so that our whole life is full the way we want it to be.
Well, listen, I could talk to you forever. This has been an extraordinary, I'm looking at my watch here. We're 40 minutes into our conversation. Trust me when I tell you, I think I told you before we went on the show, I said, Autumn, we should be done about 20 minutes. But I just didn't want to, I just intuitively guided to let the conversation go because it's so rich and it's so relevant, and the potential of people that not only hear it, embrace it, make it their life, the difference that it can make in 2 or 3 years, never mind 10 or 15 or 20. So I want to thank you for coming on tonight, Autumn, and I'd like to ask you if you would commit to me, promise me that you'll come back for a few encores. I think that you've got quite a bit more runway ahead of you, and you're just building momentum. You're a vision of what's possible.
Oh, thank you. I would love to come back.
All right. Well, listen. I know you got the kitty cats hanging and your family watching, so I'll let you get back to the fam. But thank you very much, and we're going to give it up for you one more time, and look forward to talking to you. Tell all my homies, Anastasia and Luke, that I love them to the moon.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much, Michael.
All right. Stay well. Let's give it up for Autumn one more time, you guys. See ya, Autumn. Wowzer, wowzer, wowzer. That was nothing short of a remarkable conversation. I just, every one of these I learn. There's some surprising moment. I loved how she said, as I'm growing, first of all, she said, I've been in the game for 8 years at Anastasia, but I pivoted 4 years ago. So I was on what I would call kind of an ordinary financial mindfulness trajectory. But 4 years ago, I pivoted, and I decided that henceforth, any pay raise that I would get, whether it was a pay raise from going to the next level, a raise in commission, a raise in price, a raise in my income as I'm growing, I was going to do all that I could to live on whatever it is I was living on prior to that jump, and I was going to take that difference and I was going to make that the fuel for my long-term 7-figure net worth plan. And it's one of those, I've never heard it put that way. That was huge, my friends. That was that I didn't know that she was going to say that. I was very surprised. So I think that's the takeaway of life, and again, very real, that she's going to be there inside of the first half of her career. So she'll have the second half to live very, very differently than her first half, for sure, very differently than the overwhelming majority of hairdressers live behind the chair. She'll just have options. If she wanted to, she could retire or semi-retire well before most people, get their Social Security, which is 60 something, let's say 65. I know I'm there. I'm going through that now. So just a wonderful, wonderful way of putting it. And I want to give it up for her one more time. I also want to, before saying goodnight, I always acknowledge who I am, who we are powered by, and that is L'Oreal Professional Products Salon Emotions. And I always like to thank them and acknowledge their brands, because this is brought to you compliments of them. I'm now, you can now take private Zoominars with me. I'm doing one for Redken called Who Moved My Shears? And then in July, I'm doing one for all the other brands, L'Oreal Professional and Matrix and Pulp and Mazzani and Biolage, and that's going to, and all of those conversations, they have their $200 tuitions, but to you it's compliments L'Oreal. So now L'Oreal is giving me the financial support I would need to have in order to bring this to you. Compliments them. So I don't use the word free, because nothing's free. Free's cheap. So this isn't cheap. No, there's no such thing as free. So it raises the probability, because you support the brand. They're in a position that they can express their gratitude by giving us the financial support, the fuel that we need to continue to develop the content and bring it to you. So thank you very much, L'Oreal. What an extraordinary conversation. We ran way over tonight, but who cares? It was, if somebody is going to watch this, and it'll live on my this particular page, Facebook. It's going to live on Michael. This Facebook page is Michael Cole Millionaire Stylist. There's an Instagram page, Michael Cole Millionaire Stylist. This will be edited down probably to a 15-minute, maybe 20-minute, maybe it's 10-minute micro learning, so that if you're a salon owner, have your staff watch this. This will change their freaking life. Someday when they watch this and it changes, they come back and say, you know what, if it wasn't for that 10-minute message, I would be, 20 years in, beaten, battered, burned out, and broke. I would be, 40-something, feeling like my body is going on 60 or 70-something. I know, we know that at the end of each decade, it starts taking a toll on our body first, and then our mind. It takes a toll on our feet, our legs, our back, our arms, our wrists, our fingers. It takes a toll on our minds. We go home at the end of the day with contact overload. So, that's the whole truth here. It's not good, it's not bad, it is what it is. So, conversations like this empower us to have something extraordinary to show for the toll it's going to take by the end of the second decade that we're in, and we're still this side of the first half of our career. So you can tell I'm very passionate about this. I could talk about this forever, and I will. whatever time I have left before it's my turn to die. I've got to see how many hairdressers I can awaken to get on this very, very, very sacred path called the Behind the Chair Millionaire. So thanks again. Thank you, L'Oreal. Thank you to all my friends in the Summit community. And we will be back sooner rather than later with the next conversation. Hang out with us on Clubhouse. I was just there today to do I was interviewed on Clubhouse, the Salon of the Future. So hang out with me there. Have a great evening. I'll see you soon.